SailGP Season 5 is well underway, and the signs continue that 2025 could deliver the biggest shake-up so far. The opening event in Dubai saw the Kiwis on top, with the British in second and the Americans third. For the first time in a while, the Australians were not on the podium. And while one result doesn't mark a trend, there's already a hint that this season could be different. But there are plenty of other reasons why 2025 might be a big one. The list of teams has grown to 12, plus new technology that looks set to raise the performance bar even higher. Event 2 in Auckland saw the new titanium T-foils rolled out across the entire fleet. These replace the previous carbon L-foil configuration and are designed to improve performance across the full range of conditions. Early testing delivered speeds in excess of 100 km an hour. The daggerboard part of the foils can now be canted, which allows teams to control power by adjusting the righting moment. And when teams got out on the water, it was clear that the boats behaved differently.
Yeah, they're really different actually. You definitely feel like you get less warning before you have a bit of a dolphin and a nosedive, so that's been catching some people out. But yeah, I think you're just adding a 3D dimension to the flight controller and what you can do with the foil. And they definitely feel more sensitive to the moding, and you know, the acceleration is a lot faster, the deceleration is a lot faster. So yeah, it's going to catch a few teams out, I think. And yeah, the racing with 11 boats this weekend is going to be carnage.
After just one day in practice, all the teams seemed to agree that the new move was a step up. But it was going to take a little while to get used to. Not everyone was having fun though. France were not in the running for the second event in a row after an issue with their wing sail. For the 11 that were, the event was a full-on spectacle in front of a capacity crowd on the Auckland shoreline.
We need to port down on the other side. High boat, back in 3.
Day 1 saw a 9 to 12 knot breeze, modest by normal standards, but with the new foils the gust proved challenging and helped to mix up the results. In the opening 4 races, there were 4 different winners: Emirates GBR, Australia, Switzerland and the Kiwis. But by the end of the day, it was Tom Slingsby's Australia that were head of the leaderboard.
I was actually asking Jason, their flight controller, when we got in, I said, what do you feel is harder? Is it the T-foils or the L-foils? And he said he feels like these are a bit harder because the losses can be quite big if you don't get it right. It wasn't super windy, it wasn't one thing, but it was just felt like you were just constantly on edge the whole time. Obviously it's a very tight racetrack, 11 boats on such a tight racetrack with enough wind. It was really tough sailing, and obviously there's big lulls in pressure and then big bullets of gusts, and so it was a tough day.
For day 2, the breeze was up a notch, and so was the pressure on the tight and gusty course that was set close to the shore. Day 2 also saw Slingsby's team back on the podium for the opening 2 races of the day, with a first and a second. And while the Kiwis were trying hard on their home patch, they just couldn't get to the front of the fleet. By the time the cut was made for the finale, it was Spain, Great Britain and Australia that were in the final face-off. And in this short, event-defining race, it was clear that the Australians were back on form. Because despite serious pressure from Diego Botin's Spanish team right up until the end, the Australians held firm to take the event win. Despite a good start, the British had not been in the running and finished third. However, this was the second consecutive time that Dylan Fletcher's team had finished on the podium, and the team were now at the top of the leaderboard, tied on points with the Kiwis, with the Australians 1 point behind in third.
It's obviously disappointing to get into the final again and not be on the top step, but also got to think about the big picture here. And yeah, great for the team, and to be fair, hats off the Aussies, you know, they sailed really well.
I think everyone's really happy, you know, we sailed really well all weekend, as always with everyone, lots to improve, but yeah, overall just buzzing to get in the final, and then we pushed it really hard and didn't quite come off, but yeah, SailGP.
We had an amazing last race. It felt like we were fighting the British on the first leg, and then the Spanish caught us on the final leg, final upwind leg, and I guess my hat's off to them. They could have chosen to sort of concede and take a second, but they went for it and went for the win, and we managed to just get around them.
Next stop was Sydney, and this time the French boat was ready to roll, boosting the fleet to its full strength of 12. Except it would have been had the Americans not capsized while under tow. The incident caused serious damage to their wing after a control that inverted the wing sail was activated, similar to the team's capsize last season in Bermuda. So, once again, it was back to a fleet of 11 for the weekend. Theirs wasn't the only damage though. A collision between the German team and the Brazilians during the practice racing in an upwind port and starboard left Martina Grail's team without a bowsprit. Both boats were given penalties. The Germans received 12 points and the Brazilians 4. Day one was much as expected, with gusty offshore conditions making life tricky. But, as always with this venue, the presence of Shark Island in the centre of the course presented its own set of tactical challenges. And for the French, whilst this was their first time on the new foils, they took no time in adapting. Getting things underway, it was the Swiss that took the opening race, along with the second in the third race. But at the end of the first day, the Australians had never been outside the top 3, with a third, a second and 2 wins. Emirates GBR were lying in second, but perhaps the most impressive performance was to see the French in third.
It's like unbelievable to sail again here, and with the new T4s, it was the first time for us. Like completely different boat handling, and we just had to adapt a lot. But I think today we learned a lot, and the Aussies are still way in front of everyone, but there will be again the benchmark.
Day 2 brought more shifty, gusty conditions, stressful for teams that were at the front, but a potential leg up for those that were looking to get back into the chase. And then there were the marked roundings, some of them unbelievably tight. Given their performance throughout the weekend, it was no surprise to see the Australians in the final. The same could be said for Great Britain and Canada, but pitching these two together would see Fletcher facing his former teammate Giles Scott.
Big roll up here, get close to GBR. Yeah.
And while Scott led for much of the race, Fletcher and co overtook the Canadians after splitting with them up the last beat in a cracking final. And despite a last-minute assault by Scott, victory went to the Brits.
Rolling away, mate.
It was a little stressful, to be honest, although we thought we were still good in the Canadians, but they were really tight with that exclusion zone, so yeah, we just about snuck it in there and made it happen. Yeah, personally it's massive, you know, it's where SailGP started in 2019, where I started my journey, so to come back here and win is amazing. Just really proud of the whole team and how they've sort of included me in it when I've obviously been learning a lot and making a lot of mistakes, so I think there's more to come.
There's a little bit of disappointment there, but look, I think if you'd have told us we were going to finish second here going into racing today, we'd have bit your arm off for it. We sailed really well today. Super pleased with the whole squad. We strung together a really solid day, and I don't know, for what felt like almost 90% of that race we had it sewn up in the final, and yeah, that final upwind is just, I have to re-watch it, but I'm not too sure what else we could have done.
Yeah, we're sailing so well. Top 3 for 8 races, but a third in the last one hurts. Yeah, honestly, we're sailing so well as a team, and this format, yeah, we didn't sail well in that last race. That's a lot on me. Shouldn't have got that penalty. It was just a second late turning up, and but oh well, we got a lot to be proud of, and I'm just sorry to the fans. I think everyone thought we were a shoe-in there, and it didn't go our way, but that's sport.
So, after 3 events, there's more evidence to suggest that the form guide is on the turn for Season 5. Faster boats, closer competition, and a monster season.